Hey, where are the babies?
Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, October the 31st, 2021. I'm your host, Jan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Spoopy.
And Robert Kemp.
Ooh. I mean, that wasn't me. I mean, it was so scary.
It just completely made Rob pause for a moment.
I didn't even have to make a noise. It just went, ooh.
It just went.
Yeah, I can't tell you what it was.
Who knows where that sound came from?
I can't even tell you. My very aura is haunted.
There were some very disappointing Halloween decorations when I was walking down the street to get here.
Man, Halloween's been like not a thing.
Well, it's never a thing. It's not a thing in our country, basically.
I mean, it's been the least amount of thing I think I can remember, but that's great because I'm not really into the people making a thing out of Halloween.
No,
but
you now live somewhere where you're going to get a lot less involved.
Exactly. Like,
your previous house.
There is nothing here. It is fantastic.
But even the decorations I saw on the way down here were terrible. I mean, there's the classic, like, singular, tiny, desultory pumpkin on your doorstep going on, which is just like, why even bother?
Yeah, I know.
Not even carved pumpkins, just like, here is a pumpkin.
Yeah.
And it's like a really tiny, like, hand-sized pumpkin. Not a big-ass pumpkin or anything like that.
It's the designer pumpkin.
And then there's the, also, just hang some sheets out a window. I'm pretty sure that was meant to be a decoration and wasn't just someone hanging sheets out the window.
They're not going to dry quite as well. Like in the summer, hanging sheets out the windows just to dry them.
Well, I mean, they
Halloween, it's spooky.
They definitely weren't going to dry today. It's been raining all day.
No, exactly.
And then there was what I assume was like, I guess it was meant to be a scarecrow-esque thing, but it was just made out of a garbage bag. So it just looked like trash, literally. And it was on I guess it's the only part of this specific house that like faces the road, but it's so far away from the road, and it's not like on their front doorstep or anything. It's just like, who is this for? It's like about one person is going to see that, and it's me.
Perfect.
Were they trying to do the garbage bag Pokemon?
No, because it was on sticks, like it was off the ground, and it clearly, I think it was maybe meant to have a face on it, but I couldn't even see well enough to see what it was meant to be. And it was just sort of leaning up against the wall, like it wasn't freestanding, like they'd done such a bad job.
I mean, I can't even envisage this. It just sounds like a trash bag on a hastily put together table.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yep, and that's the state of...
Desultory. Now, that is a good word. I mostly read that word. I don't get people saying it aloud.
Say it again?
Zach used that word. Desultory?
Desultory? What is that?
How you pronounce it?
I don't know.
I read it a lot, but I'm not sure how you actually say it.
What? Like anti-sultry?
Here comes our classic podcast disassembling a word segment.
I thought I would. Desultory. Desultory. Lacking a plan, purpose, or enthusiasm. A single desultory pumpkin. Did you say?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Amazing.
Yeah. Classic. Strong wordage. Classic word.
Cromulent.
So now we just have to have our momentary discussion of whether something can be sultry, clearly. Except not that kind of sultry, the other kind of sultry.
Wait, yeah. Because sultry doesn't have an O in it, right? No. Like desultory.
Sultry. Okay, I'm with you now. Right.
Yeah. Sultory.
Is it supposed to be desultory then? Or...
There is no word sultry, so we have to speculate on what it means.
Yes, it's like obviously if
full of purpose.
Yes, if you're lacking purpose, then obviously it's like you have a purpose. You're hella sultry.
I'm feeling so sultry.
I'm over sultry right now. Sultry.
Well, that's us though. That's our.
Well, I don't know. I think
sultry.
Given the state of news this week, I think this podcast might be quite desultory.
Desultory, yeah.
Desultory.
Well, in that part anyway. I'm sure we can talk about games plenty. As we do.
Yeah. desultory, going from one subject to another in a half-hearted way. Yep. Occurring randomly or occasionally. No, that's not true of the podcast.
No.
Well, wait, half of that's true. It's not random.
Yeah.
It is occasional.
Yeah, it is occasional. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, every year Laura reminds me of that Jay Foreman song about Halloween, which is just goes, Happy Halloween to all of the children in America.
Yeah.
Well, they're the only ones that care, in fairness.
Exactly. Every American infant adores Halloween. But for everyone else, no.
I mean, it's only about sweets. There's there's no. This is the whole. You might as well just replace the whole holiday. Like, get rid of all the sweet shit and just make it like Sweet Day.
Yeah.
It's just like there's a whole lot of unnecessary decorations and shit going on where all people actually want is just walk around and get free food.
It's candy
I
day.
suppose. I definitely eat more canned sweets at Easter.
Because it's, well, not at Easter, like after Easter where it's all cheap.
Yeah, exactly. But you could do that with Halloween, presumably. Like,
well, not in this country.
No, because the problem is that Christmas ramps up, right? All the same. Well,
Yeah,
unless they're like Halloween themed.
Well, it's because
sweets,
because Easter eggs are very specific, and the way that most Easter eggs are wrapped is less preservative, I guess, than most like bagged candy that you'd get from the Halloween. And therefore,
Probably.
Easter eggs actually sort of do have a more limited shelf life.
And I wonder if half the sweets that people give out are just like bits of Quality Street or celebrations or something, or they just
on Halloween?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, you just buy a big box of where the things are individually wrapped. That's the kind of thing that you want to give out.
Yeah, because there's no need. I mean, obviously they make spooky themed sweets for Halloween, but there's nothing wrong with like perfectly normal sweets for Halloween, is there?
Yes, because the kids sure don't care. All they want is the sugar.
I don't need your eyeballs in a bag.
Unless it's a specific kind of sweets that they actually like. Man, you remember that just reminded the eyeballs just reminded me of those goddamn eyeball bubblegums that we ate all the time, constantly in our childhood. 5p.
Eyeball? Were they eyeballs?
Yeah, they were eyeballs.
You would eat them.
Well,
I didn't. I
yeah.
didn't have them.
I mean, sure.
Yeah.
I think we all ate them at one point at least.
Yeah, I get the feeling because I never went out of my way to buy bubblegum because I didn't like. Well, for starters, it's always terrible at blowing bubbles.
Well, sure, but that's not the point. Again, it was all about the sugar.
Yeah. And I wasn't. I was never. I suppose I was never quite keen on the idea that you just end up with a mouthful of gunk that you're not supposed to swallow.
Yeah, it's quite weird.
It's like chewing gum, right? It's like it's satisfying for like the first minute, and then
yeah, exactly. I never understood chewing gum. People occasionally offer me gum, and I'm like, okay, why not?
Why?
I mean, I'll give it another try. I haven't had it for 3 years. Oh yeah, it's good for the first 30 seconds.
And then I need to figure out what to do with this.
Yeah, and the effect on the environment is not good. And I don't mean it in a climate change way. I mean literally the environment. Like you see it everywhere.
Well, if you're a gross person, I mean,
yeah, but it's
swallow it. It's
gross,
not actually bad.
Yeah, but they don't. People don't. People put it everywhere, don't they? For some reason, gross people all over. You have to blast that off the pavements.
Yeah, that's why they get those steam cleaners out, isn't it?
Yeah,
primarily for gum.
Cigarette butts mostly gone, thank God, but still got the gum situation.
Right, so all those people eating Nicorette, right?
Yeah. The other kind of gum.
They stopped smoking, so they've got more gum.
Well, I don't mind that. That's fine.
Surely that one you would want to swallow, though.
Smoking.
Extract every minute amount of nicotine out of it as possible.
Nicotine.
Well, perhaps they shouldn't be gums. Those things, like you just swallow them.
Well, they do patches, don't they? All kinds of weird stuff.
I guess
maybe they should be like Nicorette Haribo.
I guess I don't know like how well nicotine absorbs through your stomach, because presumably the chewing gum is to keep it in your mouth, right?
Yeah,
it absorbs better through.
Oh, I guess. Yeah.
There rather than stomach acid.
How do you get the nicotine from a cigarette? Is it from the smoke in your lungs?
Yeah, it must go through the blood straight into the blood.
Must do. Yeah. Weird.
Which is why it skanks them up so bad.
Well, no, that's not why it skanks them up.
Because it carries everything else with it.
It's the other shit that isn't nicotine that skanks them up so bad.
Yeah.
Genius idea, just inhaling like literally the smoke from a tiny fire in front of your face.
I mean, it's been a long time traditional delivery system for drugs of all kinds.
It's a classic.
But it skanks up your lungs, so you know. And then we invented vaping, which skanks up your lungs in a different way. It's not actually that much better.
I mean, is there much data on vaping yet, or like whether it's burning you from the inside out? Has it been? Have we vaped for long enough?
It's definitely a lot better than smoking in almost every conceivable way. And I don't think it's that hot, is it? The vape stuff.
I mean, it's still water vapor,
electrically.
Yeah.
I think it's
isn't it?
Not the best, but it's, you know, anything is better than smoking, straight up smoking. So, you know.
Yeah. I always find it weird, like, you know, not even on a cold day, but you know the clouds of vape smoke that come out of people, and it's so opaque. So you can see how the you know, basically what was mostly the air that was in their lungs has gone everywhere, and you're like breathing it in, and it's like that must be true of all air all the time. You just can't see it. It's just
I don't know, but like
how clouds of it that's been inside people is just going everywhere.
I don't know. Smokers and vapists do just like. That, you know, they make a point of it, don't they? It's like it's because it's fun. Yeah. It's fun to just go like funnel your mouth and just go.
Whoo. Yeah,
but it's not that like. Realistically, that's only going to get you like, I don't know, an extra meter of range if you're intentionally doing it. Otherwise, it's just like the cloud is still there.
Yeah. It's like no wonder we get freaking
the viruses.
Yeah, viruses indoors because we're breathing each other's. The exhalation all over the place constantly.
Do you like my exhalation?
Is it strawberry vape flavored?
No, it's probably tinged with beer right now.
Beer tinged exhalations.
I don't know if it goes in my mouth and I was mouth exhaling, would some beer become beer vape, I suppose? Like just a tiny amount, not like a just proper tiny.
That's what smell is.
Yeah. Beer vape.
It's true. So Halloween.
Yeah. I mean, it was a pretty half-assed effort at Park Run yesterday. They sometimes do it. I mean, my mate Justin dressed up as what's his face from Halloween, Mike Myers. Is it Mike Myers? Is he the Halloween guy? Well, wait, because I always get confused because Mike Myers to me, that can't be his real name, right? Because that's Austin Powers, right?
I know. Is that just coincidental? Yeah, I haven't seen the Halloween films.
No. I'm kind of against all. There are not many horror films I've ever watched that I've liked, so it's probably none, actually. Only the really dumb ones, right?
The ones, genre ones.
Yeah, the ones that you know are going in to be like bad. Like, was it The Woman in White or something? Where Daniel Radcliffe and Shyamalan did? I knew going in that was going to be dumb, so it was fine.
That's supposed to be scary as a play. Like, I think it was a play.
Oh, right.
It's supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be scary, but I don't know. I haven't seen either.
I've just been waiting for Halloween to be over so that I can go back to Animal Crossing. Because spoilers, but things I haven't been playing, getting into that section way early in the podcast, but I haven't been playing Animal Crossing because like the big patch that's coming up on like November the 5th or whatever did get me slightly infused, and I was like, yeah, but before that I'm going to have to go and like clean up my island and shit, right? Because I haven't been there for like 4 or 5 months at this point. It's going to be covered in weeds. And then I was like, well, I should, I get in there ahead of time because the patch isn't out yet. But then I was like, oh yeah, but Halloween is happening. So I don't want to get sucked into that whole like system of whatever the Halloween event is. I think you just have to like, buy the sweet candies every day and all that stuff. And I was like, I don't want to get into that even slightly. So I'll just wait until Halloween's over and then I'll have like a 5-day period of safety before the patch comes out.
Don't want no corn.
No. Well, I mean, soon you'll be able to grow not corn. I don't think corn is one. Well, corn, I guess we haven't seen. Maybe we haven't seen all the vegetables that you can grow. You can grow pumpkins, but that was now in this upcoming patch. Full on grow other crops.
If you harvest your corn, would it be candy corn right now, or?
No, I don't think Halloween has the Easter effect of like just eggs everywhere.
Yeah. I was trying to think like where were we flooded with candy corn in the past, and it's like, oh yeah, Rocket League, and even they've dropped the whole. Yeah, sort of like you don't earn candy corn
you don't
anymore.
earn a random extra currency to spend on unlocking things. Now you just get things for doing things.
Get things for doing things.
Yep.
Things.
I mean, I guess like I was trying to think of if there's any relevant game news that is also related to Halloween that we could use as a transition. So I don't think there really is. I mean, I was looking at my Steam list and there's been like all a ton of my games have been like, oh, here's our Halloween random thing, but most of them are just like, you know, we've turned the Halloween thing back on.
Yeah. like 2 Points always has spiders' webs everywhere. And
there was the slightly weird, for some reason, Terraria, even though they said they were never going to update it again, is continuing to get updates, except it's just like random crossover event with Don't Starve for Halloween.
Okay.
And also, you know, Terraria stuff in Don't Starve.
Don't Starve is now building things.
Well, it was always technically building things, but it's more enemies, I think.
More voxels.
And that's Halloween news.
Halloween news. I mean, people say the Halloween Strictly's a good one.
Not video games,
No,
okay.
I'm just thinking of other Halloween-y stuff. It's rubbish. Halloween's rubbish.
Oh well, let's get past it. On to, well, I guess Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, at least we're sort of now entering acceptable Christmas territory. I'm still not happy about it because it's entering November, not December.
Well, I guess, what do you get? What are you interested? Are you interested in all the stupid Prime Day stuff and all that thing? Presumably that'll come up, or is that all Black? When is that? Or is that in a different time of year?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Black Friday will be November.
Black Friday.
Yeah,
it's not week, right?
It's not far away.
Thanksgiving, right?
Or last week. Is it first week or last week? I forget.
It must be last because I haven't heard anything about it yet. But it's not far. And there won't be any deals on anything I'm interested in, as usual. Because that's how that works.
Then we just have to wait for the Steam sale, as always.
Right.
That's
what holidays are really about, the Steam sale. And nowadays, it's only about indie games. Really.
The Halloween Steam sale's on right now.
That's true. Except
that would have been a good segue.
They always make rubbish Steam sales at Halloween, where they're just like, oh, it's the spooky games, except not really.
Yeah, spooky games, or games that have a Halloween update is sort of what they have. And then F1 2021 was in that list, and I'm like, what have they done? Have they had a Halloween update? And the F1 cars got pumpkin wheels suddenly?
That would look quite cool.
That'd be weird.
Yeah. Well, shall we go into other news then? Beyond Halloween news.
What of it?
What's going on?
Oh, hey, I know. I convenient actual transition between spooky Halloween and video game news.
Oh.
The dev for Stardew Valley has announced his next game, which is a haunted chocolate shop, I guess.
Whoa, what?
It looks basically exactly like Stardew.
It does,
like,
yeah.
It's clearly probably using the same engine, I would guess. But now it's more of a city environment rather than a farm environment, and you're running a chocolate shop, apparently.
Is it Racketeer?
Yeah, it does appear to be a bit of the Racketeer style of you go out and get the resources and then turn them into a variety of chocolates, and then you design your little store with like shelves or whatever to display the products, and then people come and buy them, presumably.
But presumably there'll be more to it than that.
Well, maybe. That might actually just be enough for a Stardew.
Do you think this will be a small game compared to Stardew then? Or...
it's hard to tell. I mean, because like the farming mechanics of Stardew inherently led to, like, you know, a long playtime and a lot of options. Whereas the idea of, like, the Recettear style of going out and getting the materials, that depends a lot more on, like, the combat gameplay, which obviously Stardew was super minor on the combat. So if he manages to improve that system out to sustain a full game, or if the shop element of it is like super well featured, which is kind of like Recettear had some mechanics to it, but there's definitely more you could do with that concept.
The dungeon crawling was a little too basic at the end of the day in that game. In Recettear.
Yeah. It was kind of basic on both halves, really.
Yeah, kind of.
It's like the shop design had... I mean, I guess no one had really... Well, I mean, not many people had tried the shop design concept before then at that point.
And then there was sort of about the negotiation part of selling, and
yeah, there wasn't much to that either. But ghosts, it's haunted. The ghosts appear to help you run the shop as far as the trailer appears.
Oh,
and not like stealthily or anything. They're just sort of hanging around, and everyone is like totally fine with this.
So everyone knows it's a haunted shop. And is there anywhere else in the world going to be haunted? Or is it just your shop?
I mean, I don't know. Also, this shop appears to just have a door in the back room that just is a portal to
Narnia.
The countryside kind of
right.
where you go to collect the resources.
Where you get the Turkish delight from the Wicked Witch or what is that character called?
The Winter Queen or something.
Winter Queen, Ice Queen lady. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, presumably this will be in the Stardew universe, which is fine because, you know, weird magical shit happens in Stardew all the time. So
you get to go visit your old farm.
I mean, that would be kind of cool if they make some actual direct like reference or some of the characters turn up, just come to the city. I mean, you do go.
That cocoa beans don't come from like that kind of
environment,
climate. Yeah,
maybe that's why they're haunted.
It's the tropical island of Stardew Valley. You could go there, but you could grow the cocoa beans there.
It's not really chocolate, is it? It's going to be some other ghost bean.
Or maybe
I don't even want to think about where it comes from.
Yeah, maybe you only get the cocoa beans from the ghosts. That's the only source, and then they don't tell you where it comes from. Like, we mysteriously get these beans from somewhere.
Like, is it delicious? Fine, that's all you need to know.
Don't think about where it came from.
Has this medicine made you better? Good, don't question it.
So what's the name? Has it got a name? Yeah,
it's just called Haunted Chocolatier.
Haunted Chocolatier.
Currently. I mean, I assume that is the actual name.
Man, I hope it stays like that. That's good. That is good. I'm just imagining the lint ads with a whole different flavour to them.
Like the ghosts.
Because they always end like
Master Chocolatiers.
No, it's not the chocolatiers, is it? Like the lint ads always have made by a master chocolatier.
Yeah.
Singular. And it's like this one guy has been worked to the bone.
The guy who actually looks like a model who's in the who's in the advert.
Presumably the implication is that it's like designed by the master chocolatier.
Oh, of course.
Like
I mean, it's clearly, you know, it's going to be factory made, isn't it?
Well, yes,
obviously. But it's just it's just I don't know if they use the word handcrafted, but sometimes it sounds like that. It's like handcrafted by our master chocolatier, Steve from Reading.
If Steve's like the chocolatier, then the haunted chocolatier, it's not the chocolate shop that's haunted. It's actually the guy.
Yeah. I guess if you are living in the building that is haunted, you are haunted.
You are haunted. Yeah, I suppose. But if you travel, other ghosts going to follow you around because you're the haunted chocolatier.
If you've eaten the chocolate, does that mean you've opened?
Ghosts come with you.
You've opened up some kind of portal to haunting within you.
But you're selling that to the whole city. Like, that's dangerous.
I mean, I bet that's the subplot. The ghosts are taken over through the power of not chocolate.
It's going to turn out to be like some Indian burial ground. This entire town is built on a graveyard.
Always. Maybe there'll be a Ghostbusters tie-in to sort out the problem that you've caused. Right. Okay. Well,
So that was the transition.
There we go.
More video game
That's
news.
that game.
Not much.
What other new games are going on?
Ugh. Well, I guess I don't know. Really, don't really know what to talk about. There's that Uncharted movie trailer.
Oh yeah. So that was like it had scenes from the games, right? But all from different games, I guess. Shoved it
I
together
think it's
into a narrative.
mostly Uncharted 3 they're pulling upon, mostly.
Right.
But they reference Sam in it, Nathan's brother,
Right.
which is clearly
Yeah.
like he wasn't really mentioned at all until Uncharted 4. Kind of like, oh, by the way, is his brother? I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um,
Classic.
So yeah, I guess they're getting ahead of that. There might be some elements of 4's backstory stuff munged in, would be my guess.
So this is the movie that Tom Holland, who's famous for saying stupid things in interviews, said was bad even before they'd finished. Before they'd started the marketing campaign, right?
Sure, but
Yeah,
he says stupid stuff, so he might not. He
Yeah.
might not be right.
he might not be right.
He's
And then
pretty.
Mark Wahlberg, right, as Sully.
Mark Wahlberg as Sully, yeah, and he's not even tashed up.
Is he?
Unless that's like the final reveal or something. Like time passes and Mark Wahlberg gets tashed up at the end of the film.
I don't get his appeal. Mark Wahlberg, what's he good in?
I mean, you mentioned this to me last week, and I've been thinking
Yeah.
about it, and I still haven't got an answer for you.
Why? What makes him? What? I don't know. I don't get it.
Was he? Because was he in the new? He was in the new Apes films, was he? If I remember that right.
They're supposed to be good, right? Or
Yeah.
I've seen the first one, but they're all supposed to be good, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean the first one's the only one I've seen, and I've not really seen properly. I sort of like it's one of those
Yeah,
caught
just on
bits
TV
of.
type thing. Yeah, might be worth. I heard they're well done, so might be worth a marathon. Well, not a marathon, but
Wasn't he also in The Happening?
Oh right,
Shyamalan thing, and Ted, obviously.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's all right as a comedy actor, I think. But he's just not in that many comedies. It's weird.
Well, I guess Uncharted, could
well be, yeah.
semi-comic role, isn't it? It's like, it's just in Indiana Jones style, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's worth a try, I suppose. Good luck to them.
Oh yeah,
Trying to make something.
He took over from Shia LaBeouf, I guess, for Transformers films as well.
Oh God, dearie me. I don't know.
I'm trying to think what else I've seen him in. I think it was Pain and I haven't seen the film, but he was in Pain and Gain as well as a bodybuilder type in the attempt crime.
And he was in The Departed, right? But not
Yeah.
that much. He's one of the cops, isn't he? Or with Martin Sheen, right?
But I
seem to remember.
haven't seen The Departed, so I don't know.
Yeah. The Departed is a remake of something, isn't it? Oh, never mind.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. But Uncharted then. What did you think of the trailer then?
I mean, it looks all right, but I don't know. There's something. I think Tom Holland was both the right and wrong casting choice, because he seems to be sort of landing that same level of cheek just about okay. But I mean, I know this is more set as an origin story, it seems. But I don't know. He doesn't seem gruff enough to be a Nathan. I don't know. He's not.
Yeah, I mean, I like him, but
yeah, don't get me wrong. It's like Tom Holland's great, but it's.
But I don't know.
I don't know if it was the right casting here,
because there was that fan made short, right, with Nathan Fillion, which is
great. Yeah,
classic one. Yeah, and that worked. But I guess they can't do that. I suppose he's not a big enough draw.
Oh, you know
He's
who
not
Wahlberg
Spider-Man
was?
or whatever.
He was freaking Max Payne, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He's got the face.
Oh, I've remembered now. Then Departed's a remake of Infernal Affairs, right? The Hong Kong.
Oh, right.
action.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Although both good, Scorsese good, but Infernal Affairs is probably better than the remake. But yeah, Max Payne.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of scope for it being a good video game movie because
do those even exist?
I mean, the odds are sort of in its favor. Like, there's been so many bad ones; they must strike it out that far.
Is that the theory? Yeah, probably.
Someone's got to come good. I mean, that Tomb Raider film went. We've talked about this before. That Tomb Raider film went bad, but not the Jolie ones. I mean, those are kind of bad in their own entertaining way. But yes, the most recent Tomb Raider was fine.
And then, not a video game, but should we talk about the Cowboy Bebop trailer as well?
Yeah. Have you watched it?
Well, I saw the teaser, which was just the intro.
Just the intro, yeah.
Wow, that's really faithful. And then I think I've seen 2 different trailers.
Oh, all right.
Maybe.
I thought they'd only put one out. But...
And I found the first one quite off-putting. And then, they missed the tone. But then the second one I saw, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's not as bad as I thought. But I was a bit worried by it, I have to say. But what were your thoughts?
Maybe I've seen the one where you thought they missed the tone, because it still looks like it's going to be enjoyable, and I'm probably still going to like it. But I got that kind of a Picard vibe from it in a weird way,
right.
Like, and just from the visual design, because obviously they've tried to realism it up, but they've probably done that a little too much in places, and a lot of the quips. I don't remember those, but I mean, I watched Cowboy Bebop. I watched it the proper way, in Japanese with the subtitles, and it's like I don't know if what was being said was what was in the American dub, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe that was the tonal shift for me. I mean, the line where he says "what the actual fuck" was a little surprising.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Because the funny thing about the tone is, like, it's not as if the original Cowboy Bebop was, like, mega serious. It had all kinds of silly, weird, goofy stuff in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But still, it just didn't seem it seemed a bit off to me. But there you go. I don't know. And it does seem a bit, my brother pointed out, it is a little bit like, do you think that Netflix made it because it's kind of like they saw the Mandalorian success of like a bounty hunter in space show or cowboy in space show, and we're like, oh, we've got this property.
I mean, but maybe Bebop's just too big to fail, right? Because Netflix have done reasonably well from their dive into putting anime content on there. Reasonably,
Yeah.
They're still rubbish at picking up the later seasons of things they've already picked up. God damn it. Still haven't got season 2 of One Punch Man on there for some reason. They've got season 1, but not 2. It's like, why? Why are you holding back? Come on. They're bad at that. So yeah, I wonder if, and they've recently started. They recently put the original series on Netflix as well, so you can watch that there now, which is nice. But I wonder if it's like they're just saying, it's like, well, the audience that we've got that watches anime is big enough that this will just succeed, right? It will do well enough if that same audience just all come to it. And I guess they're hoping that it will bring more because, comedy space adventure. People don't mind a comedy space adventure. Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed, but again, I wish I had find more things to be enthusiastic about. But was a bit worried by that.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm all in. I'm watching the whole thing. I don't care. I'm sure it'll be good.
Cool. Have you seen Dune yet?
I have not. No. Well, timing has been a bit awkward for me, but
yeah, fair. Are you going to see it in the cinema, do you think?
Yeah, probably. I'm a mate of mine has already seen it and wants to go see it again, so he might.
Oh, really?
Me, but I just.
Okay.
I know we've talked about this before as well. There's something about like just going to see a film that like that whole effort doesn't appeal anymore.
Yeah, fair enough.
And especially if like, man, Cineworld has got so expensive.
Oh, really?
Like I don't have my card anymore, but it's like, but like just going to get a single ticket costs nearly as much as what the Cineworld card used to cost a month now, and it's a bit much. And it's like there's competition now. Like Ipswich has the Empire, which has tickets for not cheap, but they're better priced. And and of course my mate who wants to go see it Cineworld because he's still got his Cineworld card. And I'm like, but that means I'm going to have to pay the stupid prices for less comfortable chairs and grr. Can't we go to the Empire?
It's even more expensive to get the IMAX one at the Cineworld.
Yeah, which is in fairness
That's
probably
kind of
how you want to watch it.
That's probably how you want to watch Dune, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Not that I did, but yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
Was it good?
Yes, it was good.
That is all I need to know.
And I'll say no more until you've seen it.
Well done, Villeneuve.
Yeah, good old Villeneuve. I think it's a better project for him than Blade Runner 2049, even though, that was good in its own way. I don't think I still don't personally think that Blade Runner really needed a sequel to be made.
Well, no, but...
Yeah. But fair enough. But yeah, I think it had a bit more kind of heart to it. Dune. I think the casting was really good, which is very important.
The one thing I've seen on Twitter about it is that people don't seem happy about how they handled crowds. Like the visuals for how they did crowds weren't that good.
Right.
Like as in they didn't necessarily have the budget to hire a whole load of people to do it, so it was like a CG'd like Clone Wars, I guess, style.
Yeah, I suppose. I could see that. Fair enough.
But that's it. That's kind of the only criticism I've seen.
Yeah. One thing I really liked, I mean, the soundtrack is Hans Zimmer or whatever, and works well. He's always good value. I think he does a good job. But
break out the horns.
The Atreides have bagpipes, which is freaking awesome.
Excellent.
I really like the Atreides bagpipes.
Are they space bagpipes?
Yeah, they're space bagpipes. I was like, this is great.
Synth bagpipes.
I was into that. Anyway, video games. Is
there any video games with synth bagpipes in?
I don't know.
There must be.
I mean, I was just thinking, like, is an electric bagpipe a thing, like an electric violin, where it just doesn't have any actual air involved, and you're just like playing it like a keyboard almost?
Oh, weird. Yeah. I don't know.
It would be like a really weirdly shaped guitar almost.
I don't even really know how bagpipes work. Do you have to squeeze and?
Well, it's like a flute, except you're using the bag to create constant airflow, right?
Yeah.
But how do you create a constant airflow with the bag?
I mean,
you pre-inflate it, right?
Yeah, it's so
or you're blowing in, but it's putting it back out at a constant rate rather than...
Yeah, it's like there's a series of valves in there, so you blowing in doesn't make it immediately...
You blow, right.
Yeah, you are like, the bagpipist is there with a red face because he's having to just go pretty much the entire time.
But then when you're breathing in, there's still air
keeps
in the
going.
bag,
Yeah. So
I see. So that kind of moderates the fact that you have to breathe in and out in order to create a constant airflow.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there's I say, there must be a sequence of valves to be like blow in, and then the thing is exuding at whatever squeezy rate you're doing, I suppose. What's the squeeze rate for this piece?
Maximum squeeze. What a weird concept.
But I guess bagpipes only really have one volume, don't they? They just don't work if they...
Well, it's a Drode, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I wonder what the valve system is, because it might just be like some kind of pressure valve where the fact that you have to like squeeze it a certain amount to open the valve, so it's always that exact speed essentially.
Yeah,
so that would be a set volume, right?
Yeah.
Presumably you can tune it to be, because presumably you want the drone to be at constant volume and then your melody played on top, right?
I was wondering if you could change the drone actually, like, or that is it always that same? Or like, can they tune that, or is it just every bagpipe piece in bagpipe drone key?
There's that one note under it. I don't know.
Is that like a separate pipe? Like, I've never looked close enough at the design of a bagpipe to actually know.
Yeah, it's just a bag of
pipes. They do
pipes
have like multiple pipes, right?
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 coming out of it.
So presumably you have the one that you actually play, which has like the finger holes and whatnot, or whatever, however they actually work, valves.
Yeah, where even are those? Like, how do they? Because it's just like, I'm thinking like if you're blowing into a, that can't be the bit you blow into. Can't be the bit where your hands are to like put the hands.
Well, no, because you squeeze it with your elbow, right?
I think
it's tucked under your arm is how you actually squeeze the bag.
I need to look up a picture of a bagpipist.
But like that's what I don't get is like you squeeze it down, and then what happens when you get to the bottom? I guess you just have to blow in to reinflate it.
Well,
right?
I mean, I think you're trying to keep it constantly inflated, not having
So the pressure you're putting on it with your arm has to be balanced with the pressure that you're providing by blowing into it.
Except presumably like half as much because you're only blowing into it half the time because you're having to breathe.
Yeah, because you have to breathe. Maybe if you could do circular breathing, though, where you can breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth constantly. Yeah. Apparently some people can do that. I'm sure that's a difficult skill to learn.
What the hell were we talking about? Oh, right.
Space bagpipe.
So it looks like there's 5 pipes in this thing. One of them is clearly an intake, and you hold one of them downwards to actually play the melody part, and the other 3, I think, come out over your shoulder and do the drone.
Right. So can you control the drone is the question.
I think you can change the key, but I think you have to set it before you start playing. And there aren't that many notes. It's not like it's got a full chromatic scale. Bagpipes. The distinctive skirl and drone. What the hell is a skirl?
It's so distinctive it has its own word.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Is there any more news?
There was a trailer for the Halo, but we want to keep that on the
I'm a little media blackout on that.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, PlayStation did do a state of play, and I think we should move on.
Yep, that was very little to care about.
Because there was nothing.
It
was just
22 minutes of garbage
on PC, right? In 4K or whatever, 60.
I mean, that wasn't even there. That they didn't say any of that here. Like the PlayStation State of Play was for PlayStation, I guess. They didn't talk about PC at all. And their sort of like highlight game was Five Nights at Freddy's. It's like, ugh.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a nothing. Let's move on.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah.
Right. I guess that's the news then this week.
Pretty much.
It's time.
I'm struggling to think. I mean, I watched that Digital Foundry preview on Forza Horizon 5, and they did it because they had a little bit of time with it on the intro sequence and how it held up on Series X and Series S, and their opinions are it holds up very well, naturally.
Yeah.
The one thing that I thought was a little bit surprising is it has one of those like a classic toggle between quality and performance mode, and there are obvious differences other than just the frame rate. Quality mode turns on a bit more foliage and sort of randomized thing density, I suppose, and some of the level of detail stuff is better in quality mode. But the bit that standard stuff. The bit that confused me a little bit is when it goes into Forza Vista mode, it's like the quality and performance toggle still has an effect. I thought it's like if you were going into Forza Vista mode to just walk around and look at the car, I don't know that you would have needed that to have been running in the performance 60 frames per second mode, right? Just run it in quality mode so the ray tracing turns on. because that's the only place that the ray tracing is used in the game is for this mode, and it's like, well, why not just have that on in that mode all the time? I don't know. That seems like an odd choice. It's like, make the cars look their prettiest. That's the whole point in Forza Vista.
Yeah, that's a slightly odd one.
I think it's because like the game actually is like working. They said like in order to swap between the modes, the game has to do a full restart. So it's not like they can toggle that option on the fly for some reason.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, I mean that's been sort of true of all of the Forza games, like especially on the pizza. I'm getting hungry.
I'm getting hungry.
On the PC iterations, like certain changes have just forced it to restart, and the PC versions had annoyingly lengthy load times on launch as well. So it's yeah. Anyway. It looks like one of those. I'm not sure I've seen anything particularly unique from Forza Horizon 5 yet, but
right, yeah. I mean, they're kind of incremental at this point, aren't they? Like the Europe one, and then the
UK one,
the UK one,
and then Australia. Well, other order: Australia, then UK, then Mexico is the next one.
Yeah, Mexico.
It does look good. But I think I'm playing them less and less with each version that goes around. They're just not... It's pushing the same button. I need them to push new buttons.
I mean, but they're pushing the boundary graphically in a way that a lot of games aren't bothering at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. I've seen a number of YouTube vids sprout up over the last week or so, just saying like, so where are all the ray traced games that everyone promised us?
Right, yeah.
It's like there aren't many developers doing it, like really.
I mean,
not on console, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. It's like the consoles are capable of it, but it is just too expensive for most.
Yeah.
For most video game workloads, and
it is interesting that they have. Consoles now have modes, graphics modes.
Yeah.
Performance versus. This is the start of them turning into like the full PC tuning experience on a console.
I mean, it'll never be that far. It never goes that far.
Well, it can't be because it's always the same hardware, right? But,
exactly. Yeah. I sort of vaguely understand that they give you that one or the other toggle, but I thought that was kind of going to go. That was sort of going to go away with the X, I suppose, and the PS5, and just be like, well, these will run in the way we want them to run. Like, you don't have an option to pick, but like they've kept that, and it's like I find that slightly odd. I think it should be the developer that chooses how they want to present their game, not necessarily us. We may disagree with their decisions from time to time, but there is a purity to that. Like.
Yeah, and giving you putting the responsibility on the player to, make that choice. I don't know if that's good.
Yeah, to choose what makes sense. And then, when I was playing Horizon Zero Dawn, I really didn't understand what the difference did. For instance, even on PS4 Pro, it had an option between a quality mode and a performance mode, and the performance mode just lowered the res as far as I could tell. I couldn't actually see anything else degrade. Or the performance improve for that matter. So it's just like, well, I'll run it on quality mode then. Like, why give me the choice?
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird.
There's been some more movement in the Activision California situation, apparently.
Oh,
really?
I haven't been keeping up with it much, so I don't. This is going to be me telling you a headline and then speculating about it again, because I haven't been reading about it that much. But supposedly, there was a moment where there was a sort of a worry, I guess you could say, that that the lawsuit was going to collapse and nothing was going to actually happen because of like some weird like legal procedure thing that had gone wrong, essentially, where it was basically like, because there was that second lawsuit of like a different government institution. I can't remember what it was. It was like some other like ethics thing that not linked directly to the California one. So it was like a sub lawsuit that had come in at the same time, and then some of the lawyers from that one were also employed by the California one, and then there was like this weird conflict of interest thing where like they'd seen different documents or whatever. Then so for a moment there was a worry that the whole thing might just collapse and nothing would come of it.
Right,
but that apparently got sorted out. So that wasn't that. It's still continuing.
They separated the legal people, basically.
Yeah, basically. But the current headline that I saw this morning and then didn't actually look into it any further was supposedly, well, firstly the Activision has dropped arbitration, so you are actually allowed to have legal happenings on a like individual person level or whatever.
Oh, I see.
Because arbitration is like a whole thing with business contracts, and like you're not allowed to sue the company yourself or whatever, and you have to go through specific channels.
Is that why class actions exist?
Yeah, except that's for like consumers rather than employees.
Oh, I see. So, right. So, like, you have to go through your union.
Except
such
it's not a union,
exist.
But like, it's like you have to. Arbitration is like you have to basically use the lawyer company that your company tells you to, which obviously isn't great for you.
That doesn't sound great, does it? No.
But yeah, so they apparently they've got rid of that, and the other part of this headline claims that the CEO, who presumably is Bobby Kotick still, is taking a pay cut from 150 million to 670,000, which seems like that's probably not actually true, and there's probably some other...
150 million?
I mean, I think I had heard that his numbers were along those lines, but that's more like with bonuses, except because of the bullshit way that bonuses are given out in that grade of industry, it's all like bonuses, and they're always ridiculously huge.
So yeah, it might be that might actually not be his salary.
Yeah, his salary might not actually have changed at all. Yeah. He might just be not taking bonuses any longer,
like shareholder dividends or whatever, or whatever that
maybe
board bone. Yeah. I don't know. I get lost at that stuff. It's so weird.
But it's just like that's. I don't think this is the kind of situation that taking a pay cut works for. In like this whole abuse lawsuit thing, you can't just take a pay cut and be like, "Oh, that's totally fine now." Because
it's like, because where is that money going?
Well, and then like presumably it's not, well, unless he has done something. Presumably it's not really on him as much.
I mean, it's not like his pay cut to pay for all the lawsuits. Like,
no, I don't think so. Well, presumably...
Or all the settlements.
I don't know how it works in the American system, but presumably they aren't the ones having to pay for this lawsuit, because California brought it onto them, right?
Assuming... I mean, isn't it the normal way round that they...
Because it's not a libel, which would be the other way round for us. That's for UK law, though.
Absolutely, yeah. So California will be paying for it right now, and I believe unless they win. And then legal fees get transferred.
But yeah, it doesn't seem like... I mean, on some level, it's just like we're doing random appeasement, I guess. It's like, it doesn't exactly seem like an appropriate thing on... Because if you're going to do that, it's just like you're putting it too much on one person. Like, he was the one who was doing all this abuse, but he clearly wasn't.
I mean...
maybe he did some of it, but who knows?
I mean, there's an element of... the buck stops here, right?
Yeah, like, I mean, the CEO has to take a pay cut because of bad things happening.
Someone's got to, but yeah, I don't know. That doesn't solve the problems, does it?
And it's not, I haven't heard him saying much. I mean, obviously, because of lawsuits, probably a good idea to not say much, but...
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, who knows? It's still continuing is the main thing. It's still going on, and in a way that, like, we're actually allowed to know about it on some level. It's not just one of these classic behind closed doors things where it gets settled and no one ever finds out what happened. I mean, it still might.
No, because even if it gets settled, then there may be a requirement of the states, because the state are bringing the case, they may have to publicly declare what happened, like what that settlement was. I
mean, it does seem like a lot of the court documents that this information is coming from are more readily available than many video game related lawsuits we've been talking about in the past.
I think when it's like if they're documents ahead of time, often those are quite available. When it's stuff that's presented in the case itself, that becomes a little less visible to us.
Yeah.
If you think about some of the stuff that came out through Apple and Epic and all that stuff, it's like a lot of it was like reporting on what happened during the case.
Yeah.
Like a lot of that evidence came out then.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe we haven't got to that point in this still in the Activision one.
Sure.
Like we're still just like
This is all prep.
well, it's like the information that's coming out is like it's legal procedure information, not really like the actual information about what happened information.
Sure, yeah. Because they can't release a lot of that, can they, until the actual... I forget. I mean, this is definitely not my area of expertise or any of ours, I suppose, but it's like there's very little I think you actually have to share with the other party. Like, I think perhaps the evidence you're going to present might be one of them, to some extent. So, you can defend against evidence, I suppose, rather than just being, but what's this?
Yes.
It's like, we don't know. We've never seen that before. We don't know how to talk about this. Which, you could argue is mildly unfair.
But that's that, I guess. That's news. That's
Activision.
all of the news.
What was the last time you bought an Activision game?
A Tony Hawk's game, probably.
Yeah, probably. I guess that's the unfortunate thing. Tony Hawk's 1+2 probably is an Activision product, right? But it's just trying to think. Maybe Overwatch for me, because I haven't bought any of the more recent Call of Duties. I played Warzone, but that was free.
Yeah.
I didn't give them any money for that.
Good. Vote with your wallet.
Yeah. It's a mild bummer, because I still want to know what Overwatch 2 is really going to be. Because that's still... It's still not a thing.
Yes.
So strange.
Right, I guess it's time for what you've been playing.
Ooh.
Who's going
that
first
went
this
wrong.
week?
Was that my headphones, or did that come across for you guys as well? It went horribly crackly when I did the ooh.
It sounded all right.
I was
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably just my headphones.
What have
It
you been
was
playing,
those
man?
ghosts again.
Yeah, the ghosts. I'm haunted headset. Have you seen that? I think is it Sum Up when they do that ad on TV where they just like they show them. It's like, no, I take card payments now, and it's just like the rest of the ad is just someone like an endless ooh.
No, I managed to avoid that.
I do that to Gnome quite a bit. She dislikes that.
Great.
I can imagine.
It's very fun though.
So fun.
So fun.
Hopefully, like the games you've been playing this week.
Ooh, we'll see. Tension mounting.
Tension mounting.
Did you say which one of us is supposed to be starting?
Yeah, come on, Rob.
Oh, me.
It's you.
Oh, okay. I was just... Okay.
Excuse.
Me, please. Yeah, I've only really got Scarlet Nexus to talk about this time, which I think I started playing. I was a couple hours in, and the last time we podcasted, and it's kind of I've kind of been playing nothing else because I don't really know why. Like, I don't know where to begin with this thing. It is a weird ass game, and and I think that's what draws me in as well as pushes me away. You know, I like a weird one, and
something a bit different.
Yeah, Scarlet Nexus is definitely that because to try and draw from last time, it's like it's a anime character action game, but the made by Bandai Namco, but the character action element is actually pretty solid. Like there's a depth to it that isn't normally present, I suppose, in your run of the mill anime game. I guess it's got combos, and they've thought about how it links into your psychokinesis power, which is on a meter. But so you have to do certain combos in order to build up your meter, and then you use that meter to throw stuff at the enemy, and that darts you out of trouble when you're throwing stuff, and then you could dive back into trouble to do some damage as a follow-up and things like that. So there's like a and you unlock abilities as you go to make that combat more fluid and give you more options and things, and then you get the number of powers at your disposal by, well, I have no idea where I am in the game, like how far through it I am. The number of powers at your disposal gets really big. Like there's a lot of them, like really a lot, and it's it becomes quite a lot to manage at times. But that's kind of cool because it means you're like you can there's plenty to experiment with and plenty to figure out what are the best strategies against certain enemies and things like that. Sometimes that's really obvious, but other times there may be different approaches, and that's cool. And it's like I still have a bit of a problem with how it deals with dodges. I don't think its hitboxing around dodges is great, but that becomes a bit easier as you go through.
What makes it easier?
So, right. I'm going to start touching upon the most wild aspect of this game, which is its setting and its plot, because it is batshit. There's no other way to describe it. It's almost like a 12-year-old came up with every idea they could all at once, and they somehow made it into this game. It is ridiculous. So they have an obsession with brains in this thing, right? It's brain this and brain that, and so the one of the core ideas. Oh, my headset's dying. The batteries are running out on it, so I might not be able to hear you very well.
Maybe it's crackling.
Yeah, I think so. One of its core ideas is that you can link to other members of your party with a what they describe at the start of the game as an imaginary cable that they refer to as SAS. Now, I have absolutely no idea how this system works. It sounds like it's like built into everyone's suits or something. But they can just mentally link with the people around them and can choose to share their powers, basically. It's worth pointing out that everyone in the world is a psionic in this universe. It's like everyone has some sort of latent psychic ability, and for most people that just means they can see holographic visions that, as they call them, that are just projected into the world, and you have to use your brain power to see these things. Like they don't really use screens. It's like everything is psionic and weird. Oh yeah, headset is now totally dead. I'm just going to turn it up. That should help me hear you.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear.
Yeah, I can hear you a little bit. Yeah, so they use these visions. So anyway, these SAS cables sort of like can be detached and detached in the middle of a fight to be like, oh, I'm borrowing your teleportation power, which lets you, like, for enemies that get defensive as you get close, you can just keep your distance, wait for them to open up, and then use the teleport to dive in and hit their weak spot, and then they'll be vulnerable for a bit, so you can do damage, for instance. Or you can, for enemies that you can make damp, you can then switch to use someone's electrokinesis, so you can electrocute them while they're damp, because that's effective. And there's
super effective.
Yeah, exactly. There's like fire, and there's clairvoyance to see invisible things and make your dodging easier. Hey, dodging easier. There you go. That's useful. Or someone that can just basically tank damage, so you can turn that on for a bit and not get hurt in certain circumstances. There's like 9 party members you can achieve, and like at the part of the game I'm at, you have access to all of those. You have access to 8 of the 9 at once, which becomes a bit of a management headache, but whatever, you can do it. So in the middle of a fight, I can call upon any one of those powers to start like blending with my own. And I've got the upgrades where I can have 4 of those powers active at one time, so you can start combining the effects of things. It's like they don't combine in like Magicka level ways. It's like, not if I combine these 2 things together I get something different. It's like, no, just these 2 things are active at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
But it gets kind of mad, like the amount of stuff you can do and stuff like that. It's like there's a lot going on. And there's like the enemies don't just have health; they have ways of where you can crush them instead. So they have a separate health bar that's also there as well. And if you manage to get the crush down, you can instant kill them. instead of having to grind their health down. Not true of bosses. Bosses, they'll just do a lot of damage if you crush them, but you get like experience bonuses for doing it, and you get a little cutaway sequence of you like glory killing them, I suppose, when that happens. It's
right.
It's pretty stylish and pretty good looking. When it's like in its flow, there's just things going on. There's stuff happening. There's sparks and flashiness and cutaways and giant anime people popping up on screen like as you activate their powers, and they do a little animation and swoop across the screen, and then or you can have a close-up of your own face with your eyes opening when you do a crush, and you go grrr, and then
cool.
And then every now and then you'll go into a brain drive state, which is like, or you're in a focus
brain drive.
Yeah, they call it. So you build up this little meter, and when it fills up, like you go into brain drive,
a limit break. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. You sort of you get faster. Your attacks start doing damage, more damage. The music goes mad because it like starts to increase in pitch slowly over the course of a brain drive. So it's like everything's getting weirdly hyped as you're going through. It's so stylish. It's pretty cool. Like it's madness on screen.
Sounds pretty awesome, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the core ideas are there. I don't think there's enough enemy variety from what I've played. Like the combat is starting to wear thin now. Even with all that going on, I just don't think there's enough, enemy types or enough different things you actually need to do to kill them. But the bosses are still always interesting. The bosses are still entertaining and weird. But all of that kind of pales in comparison to what else is going on. I mean, that's great. This is like that's the best stuff in the game is this combat. But like, it's also weirdly probably the smallest element of the game. Like, because most of your time is in visual novel style conversations where the absolutely mad plot is unveiled to you very, very slowly. But it's like, this is yeah, I mentioned this last time. It's like the writing for some of this stuff, like the moment to moment stuff is pretty poor. Like it tries to do the persona thing, right, where it wants you to build bonds with your teammates. So you can choose at some points to have these bond episodes with your teammates, and basically all that means is sitting through a little comic book style set of cutscenes and chatter and things.
Your bond level.
Yeah,
with them. It's
like, oh well, go have a chat, and then, but as a result of those, like that can sometimes. One of the things you get out will be combat bonuses as your bond increases. So one of those things, for instance, is instead of taking damage, a teammate will appear in front of you and block the damage for you if their bond's high enough with you, or there's a chance for them to negate damage and stuff like that. So it's worth doing. They're marked as optional, but you'd be mad not to do them because they're quite easy to just trigger. So just go do them all. Just go sit through some cutscenes. But the bit that bothers me the most about them is, okay, there are some points early on in the game where tonally they make no sense at all. You're having friendly conversations and dinners with people who are supposed to be your enemies at certain points in the story.
Right.
And it's like, that's weird. No one would do that. Why are we going out on the town and going to karaoke with someone who's actively fighting against us? It's weird. It's really strange. That doesn't make any sense. But the worst part of it all is like all of the characters are excessively nice, I would say, bar one who's like the archetypical asshole.
Right.
But like
everyone's too nice.
Everyone else is really nice. Yeah, it's like couples therapy. Like that kind of like therapy in general, where it's like whenever they talk to each other, there's almost a like, I hear what you're saying and I respect your opinions and I thank you for being honest with me. and it's like, and I think that probably makes up about 40% of the dialogue, just random bits like that. There's like whole swathes of sections where characters just go off on one about how kind they are to each other, and it's like, I don't care. It's like, why do you care so much? Why does everyone talk to each other in such a saccharine way? It's like you're supposed to be the military, damn it. Oh.
Exactly. Yeah, it shouldn't be in your character to be so. Yeah, sort of wet.
Yeah, it's really soppy, and it's just doesn't make any sense. And now I'm tempted to just go into massive spoiler territory on just to try and get across just how mental the story is. Let's do it. All right.
Let's do it. Spoiler alert. For Scarlet Nexus.
I'm going to talk. Yeah, I'm talking through the Yuito storyline, which, by the way, is only like half the game. So I'm not even like finished with half the game yet. And it's okay. So the setting for the world is like there's this thing called the Extinction Belt around certain areas of what's left of the country, and from the Extinction Belt come these creatures that are referred to as the Others, and these are like the monsters and stuff that I described before. They're a little bit like haunted marionettes, I guess, that kind of like sort of puppets and showroom dummy kind of look to things. It's kind of creepy. But anyway, so supposedly these Others come from this belt, and they threaten mankind. But you start to find out that it's like, oh, actually there are forces that like supposedly can turn humans into Others. And then later you find out that your own government is perhaps processing people to get their brains so they can turn their brains into some kind of medicine, or maybe that's the way they turn them into Others. And then you start having memory lapses as the main character. So there are bits of like your memory that just go missing and things stop happening. And then everyone's like, hey, what are you doing? And you're like, I don't know, what am I doing? So you're suffering from that. So you start taking this medicine, which is then revealed to be medicine made out of processing people's brains.
In some kind of brain drive?
Brain drive. So you're drinking brain juice or something, and then there's
people.
And then at one point there's a rebellion where the two halves, where one half like realizes that the government's up to bad stuff, and then sides with another city as part of the country that wants to go independent. So there's like a weird internal conflict going on, and then one of those sides assassinates your dad, and then which makes you angry.
Understandable.
And then you go and have dinner with the guy who assassinated your dad, and then before you realize he's
just to clear the air.
Yeah, before you realize he's assassinated your dad, but he probably has. Oh my god! Okay. What more is there go? Like during this rebellion, something happens where you beat up your best mate who seems to have gone bad for some reason. Because I think he's been given personality readjustment and possibly been hyped up on this brain drug as well. And as a result of you having this intense fight with him, some latent power within you creates a black hole in the sky.
Of course. I mean, that's always happening to me. Like, there's always some latent power that's, that inside me that's creating black holes and the sky.
But no one seems to know what the name of a black hole is, so they refer to it as the Cunard Gate throughout the rest of the game.
Gate?
The Cunard Gate. But it's like, who came up with the Cunard bit of it? Like where's that come from? It's like the Cunard Gate. Anyway.
Cunard. Yeah.
So some people die. You go to a haunted hospital for some reason. You kill your best mate at one point because he's still going mad and still seems to have been going through this personality rehabilitation several times. You then find there's this like, oh, where haven't we been yet? I know. Let's go talk to the religious cult that lives up on a mountain for some reason. Let's go find out what they're doing. It's like, oh, everyone in here is clones. Oh, two of the clones look like people in our party, or people that are working with us. What's that about? It's like, oh, you guys know you came from. Oh, okay, you guys know you're clones. All right, okay. What's that about? Oh, you mean everyone here are clones of people that came from the moon? These wizards came from the moon.
It's always the moon.
It's always the moon. And the moon. Oh, so we're actually the second colonization of Earth, as it turns out. Like the moon, everyone left the Earth for the moon because the Earth was getting bad, and then they fixed the Earth, and then the moon got bad because the moon's population was too big. So some of the moon came to Earth to sort that out.
I mean, this might.
But then the other particles turned up, and so the moon was getting messed up, and they were like, "Oh, what do we do? I don't know. Let's just send all the particles to Earth and screw up everyone that's there."
Might as well be the story of Nier, isn't it? The moon and the Earth, repopulating.
Yeah, there's some similarities there. You're not wrong. And so then, what is this religious cult actually up to? Oh, they want to erase time. So basically none of this ever happened. So there's time travel suddenly, and that turns out that that's one of your latent powers, not the black hole power.
Well, I mean, black holes and time travel kind of go together.
Yeah, there's this. You have gravikinesis, which can also summon the red strings of time travel, and what else has happened? You discovered that the guy that assassinated your dad is actually an agent from the moon that was trying to stop the religious cult, that was supposed to be helping the religious cult succeed with their plans, but something went wrong with that. So he's actually this guy's 2,000 years old, but now he's your friend and killed your dad. Your brother, in the meantime, has disowned you. You've tried to send a message to all of the population using brain television of some kind. To tell them all about it, and that didn't really work, because then the leader of the rebellion came along and screwed you over and went back in time himself somewhere. We don't know where. I haven't figured that bit out yet. You lose your memory, but then all of your teammates give you your memory back somehow. We don't know how that really happened, but you're okay. Somehow you're still the same person, despite having your memory reconstructed by all of your friends. Because the power of friendship, I guess. Yeah, so then last thing I did was just break into this computer called Babe. All right, Babe?
Hey, Babe.
Hey, Babe. Which has sent data back in time to your mum, and it turns out that your mum is a red string and gravikinesis user as well. I guess that makes sense, but your mum also raised one of the clone children who is in your party, and that's
your mum's a red stream and gravikinesis user.
Yeah, and that's why you recognized one of the clone people in your party at the start of the game, because they went back in time and saved you at one point. I have no idea what the bloody hell's going on. It's like I think I've summed up everything so far, in perhaps not in the right order, but it's madness. It's utter madness. And if it didn't take so freaking long to get to these weird statements where everyone's just they came from the moon, it would be quite a ridiculous ride. It's kind of fun.
Sounds like you like it overall.
I mean, I think I like it more than I dislike it. It's just it's too long. It's far too long. They needed to tone down their Persona and RPG aspirations, I suppose. Just tone that down. Take it down by about 10 notches. Perhaps fill in some of the plot holes, because there are many.
You haven't seen the end yet.
I haven't
they
seen...
won't fill in all the plot holes in one go.
They've done a reasonably good job so far of going back to things that you thought they were just going to leave for forever, but no, they did actually return to at some point. There's plenty of stuff where it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like during the run into that computer into Babe, you go across one of these possibly the worst bit of the game. Actually, you run across a crumbling bridge and try and dodge and power your way to the end of this bridge, and then you get to the end of it, and then you get to the computer, and the computer just sort of turns off, and you're like, well, I guess we did what we came to do, when before you know that it sent its data back in time to your mum somehow, but then you're like, well, okay, let's go. And it's but where do they go to? There's only one way into this room, and the bridge is collapsed. And it's but somehow you just pull up the menu and say, well, let's go back to the hideout. And it's there's plenty of moments where that sort of thing happens, where it's just wait, how did you do that? Or there's moments in the game where it's well, you're supposed to be on the run from a particular faction, and it's no, you can just casually walk around their city. It's fine. It dressed up in your gear. No one seems to bat an eyelid. It's just it's fine. Oh, I forgot. There's an element of 1984 1985. Was it not? Or is it? Which is it? 1985. What's the Big Brothery thing? 84. Yeah, there's an element of that going on as well. They're controlling all the information. They're controlling the civilians, and they're stealing the brains of the people that rebel. It's madness. It's utter madness. And that's only the half of the story I've seen. The other half, like as I say, I'm playing it through from Yuito's perspective, but there is a whole other playthrough where you play as Kasane, who's the design child that also has your Gravikinesis power and was raised by your mum, by Yuito's
So
mum.
when do you play that through? Or?
I guess you play it through separately, so you finish Yuito's campaign and then you start again and play through Kasane's campaign. And it's like, but this thing's long, as I said, so it's like it's quite an ask. It's quite the ask. Also, Naomi gets annoyed because there's a character called Naomi in it.
Oh, right, of course.
and they keep referring to her. Bad things happen to her near the start of the game, so it's like
not good for Naomi.
No, it's not good for Naomi's.
Okay.
I guess that's kind of all I've really been doing. Second, I did a little bit of Deep Rock again. Finally got promoted.
Yes. Then didn't get to do any of the post-promotion stuff again.
Yeah,
same problem.
So it's the usual stuff. I've been playing some Rocket League again. I don't think I'm going to hit the end of season target. There's just not enough like XP bonuses really to get me all the way to level 110, which is a bit of a shame. And that's kind of it. That's been for 2 weeks. It's been all about red strings.
Got to get your stringy red strings going.
Stringy red strings. Sorry for all the spoilers, but you needed to know.
You got to know the insanity to appreciate why this has some ridiculous points.
That wizard from the moon killed your dad.
Yeah. And your mum's got the data.
Your mum's got all the data.
the brain drive.
And your mum's name sounds a little bit like Wakanda. I can't remember what it is there, which confuses me quite a bit.
Your mum forever. Yeah. All right. Well, what about you then, Zach? What have you been playing?
Well, Rob forgot the important transition of we've also been playing Hyrule Warriors still.
Naturally.
On our weekly basis that we actually get to do that.
Yeah, we're still co-oping our way through that.
And it's continuing to, it's continuing to be what it is.
Yep.
Although it's like, I keep thinking about it and it's like, it weirdly feels to me like this game is almost over, but it can't be.
Right, yeah.
It's because we've got all the champions. We did all 4 of the champion missions, and now we have probably all the characters, I assume, because I don't think there's any more.
I guess,
apart from the DLC ones, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we've done that.
The last couple of reveals haven't been that interesting.
Well,
Rivali kind of sucks.
Well, it depends.
He's a little bit different because he flies half the time. And was it Goron guy? He's just Daruk. He's typically fat and slow.
Yeah. But it's like we've got all 4 of the champions, and then that's the whole game of Breath of the Wild. So it's like you expect it to be over in a minute.
Yeah, what else is going to happen?
But we've only just started the actual plot of this game, I guess, with the evil egg. Where it's like, because you have the time traveling guardian that comes to help you, but there's also obviously the evil version, the Ganon version. And then there's some kind of, I know, Ganon cult that's not actually not the Ganon cult that already exists.
Yeah, not the
Yiga clan.
Yeah.
It's another one.
Who we have now met.
Yes, we did the Gerudo mission is all obviously a bunch of fighting against Yiga clan.
After you've knocked out several hundred Gerudo.
Well, yeah, that is the weird thing that's happened several times now. Well, it happened with the Ritos as well.
Yeah.
Well, and some of the side missions where you're just fighting regular human troops.
Oh, that's your training missions.
Sure,
yeah.
But it's just you're fighting for allies a lot. It's fine when you're killing hundreds and hundreds of goblins, but now you're just killing hundreds and hundreds of Gerudos. It's like, where the hell did these all come from for a start?
Yeah. You've left us no choice. We must murder you. Except they don't really ever describe anything as murder in this game. It's all KOs.
No one ever dies.
Not even the Moblins. They're all KOs.
I'm trying to. I'm trying to even remember if like how the bodies disappear. They just disappear, right?
I think they sort of poof.
Do they poof though?
Yeah, I think they do the sort of Zelda poofy explosion thing.
What about that?
Oh no, maybe only the bigger ones. Yeah, the bokoblins and things I think just sort of fade to black. But then they
do that with the cave thing.
Yeah, so you can see because you can keep hitting things when they're dead for quite some time. So they fade out a bit.
But what about the non-monster races like the Gerudo? I can't even perceive I can't perceive that because I wasn't looking.
No,
I wasn't looking for it, so I wasn't recognizing what was happening.
I mean, the Yeagers poof into their
they just
smoking
disappear.
Tickets or whatever that is.
But yeah, it feels like we've got to the end of the story, but only because it's a comparison to Breath of the Wild. It's only technically like chapter 2.
I think there's an awful lot of that game left.
But where is it going to possibly even go from here? It's not like the story is great to start with. How are they going to string it out for the whole rest of this game?
I mean, we've got no Dynasty Warriors experience, so we don't know.
No.
How do these normally work?
I mean, obviously you can fill the content with plenty of side quests that are already just like arbitrary random things. They're not really. It's not trying to link the side quest shit into a story, really. Well, you go do training.
We haven't really had many missions that retread old ground yet, have we? Other than the side stuff, it's like we've not really been back to places for the main levels.
And presumably we're going to, because the design of those maps is specifically made so that they can be arranged differently.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they'll put gates in spots with
move the camps around or whatever.
Yeah.
We also haven't really. I don't know if that's just how this game is going to be, but I feel like in regular Dynasty Warriors, even though obviously we haven't played those, I feel like there's a lot more emphasis put on the camps and occupying the levels.
The strategic element of it, a little bit. So battles.
Whereas now, in this game, there's
it's all been very linear so far. The path has been quite clear,
and there's also not really any benefit to capturing camps in any case so far. It's not like there's been a couple where it's like, if you're not fast enough, the enemy will push your guys out.
Yeah, or that's not actually. They've not actually taken over camps, have they? We've seen the complaints come up saying it's like, we're on our last legs. Or
on the Zora mission, they pushed it back into the throne room, didn't they? They took the outer ones before we got there, and we were fighting in the actual center of the city.
Oh, I see. Yeah. But it feels like all of those so far, the main stuff in that has just been scripted, right? So far, it's like, this has just happened.
But there doesn't seem to be any benefit because, even on the first level, there's totally camps on that map that are enemy occupied that you don't ever have to go to.
I mean,
through the course of that mission.
I wonder if this is a part of the game that isn't part of the core story, right? The core story is how we're playing it right now, and then the maps at some point, maybe as post-game or something like that, open up into these sorts of
Sure.
This is more of a dynamic level. Go for it.
But then why does it still include it in the story missions? It's like you could go all the way
tutorial?
over. Well, you could go all the way over here, out of the way, and capture this extra thing. I mean,
potentially get a weapon out of it. Potentially.
Well, yeah, I suppose you kill a boss, you get a drop. And I guess you could grind for extra kills and XP on within one mission.
Mm.
But yeah, it's not really gone into that aspect of it so far.
And we seem a bit over-leveled anyway for when it's actually saying, because it does have a recommended stat on some things, and we're we're miles over.
Well, yeah, but we're totally fine for regular fights, but we still die on bosses all the time.
Well, it's because we're playing on the hardest difficulty.
Well, sure, you have to, right?
Yeah. Which is sometimes a bugger because you can't see some of what's happening sometimes, and then you just die, and you're like, well, what just happened?
Well, I mean, I don't know if we've managed to learn sufficiently yet. But I think the main thing about that game is not unlike Scarlet Nexus, you just dodge all the time with no consequence. Just keep mashing the dodge button continuously, and you're pretty much safe.
It's very generous about dodging.
So if you need a moment to see what a boss is actually doing, just continuously mash the dodge button. Don't even look at your character; just look at what they're doing.
Yeah. I think that is generally the strategy with that.
Yeah. So. And then you might even accidentally get a perfect dodge.
Yeah. I mean, the timing for that is pretty tough.
I feel like I'm getting better at it when I'm even remembering to intentionally do it.
I've never used
parries.
Never used shield parries, which I didn't realize were a thing until the last time we played it.
Because I don't think there's any reason to, or at least we haven't come across an enemy that gives you a reason to.
Yeah,
Like, I'm sure the Guardian laser, if you parry that, I bet that works.
Yeah, because it shows it in the cutscene before you fight the first,
Yeah.
or see the first Guardian.
Because we were having that. If you get involved fighting that Guardian before you should, and it's firing a laser at you, it's actually quite difficult to dodge that.
Mm.
Whereas I bet you can probably parry it, but then that would require you to think about that rather than just running away.
I wonder how it works if you actually. I haven't tried just shielding much in general.
Yeah,
because it's
the shield button.
And there's only a couple of characters that can shield. Like, not everyone can do it.
I think they all have a shield. Like, they all have a defense mode. It just may not be a shield.
Oh, okay. I didn't really notice it with like Mifa and Rivali. Whereas obviously Link's got a shield. Urbosa's got a shield.
Yeah, and the Gorondu's got his magical shield.
Yeah. Which you can make massive and just run over everyone.
Yeah, so we'll continue with that. Maybe
it's still pretty fun.
Maybe we'll learn something at some point, either in story or mechanics.
That sounds like too much of a general lesson. It's like, maybe we'll learn something at some time. Maybe those bokoblins came from the moon.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, they sort of do.
The blood
moon. They sort of do.
Yeah. Well, at least they get resurrected by the moon.
And then also on the Switch, another thing that I played the Metroid Dread demo.
Ooh,
because that
the
came
demo.
out.
Oh, there's a demo.
Yeah.
There is a demo now, yeah.
Oh, I have to play that. Sweet.
So I played that.
And
I mean, we're going to have to do the classic Saladcast review where I'm going to complain about the two things that I want to complain about, but it's perfectly fine otherwise.
Yep.
It's like, it's clearly a good game. And like, I mean, I wouldn't have said it looks as good as I was expecting it to. Like, there's definitely some pretty low quality textures going on that maybe indicate, whatever development process it went through. And then one of the things that I'm about to complain about is also maybe a really weird indication of that, which is that I don't know why they kept I do know why they kept it, because they didn't want to change it, but I don't know why they kept the system where you have to hold down a button to plant your feet and then you can free aim.
Oh, right, I see.
When we're on a system with two sticks. Yeah. Like, that whole system is clearly designed for the time when it was on a system that only had one analog.
Yeah, it made sense for Samus Returns on the DS, right? And because presumably they would have had to made it for DS, not new 3DS. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, 3DS, not DS.
So it's like, I understand why they kept that, because they obviously didn't want to change for people who had already played the previous game or whatever, and were expecting it to be like that. And also, in some ways, it's almost Metroid tradition to have the hold down the button to aim, like in Prime.
I guess.
It's all these games have only had one analog stick to work with.
That's true. Yeah, because you didn't really use the C stick to look around, did you?
No, it was for changing weapons.
Yeah, in Prime.
So yeah, I mean, it is sort of traditional. It just seems weird when you've got this whole other analog stick now. That you could have just made it a twin stick shooter, almost. And then the other major problem that I have with it, which is more of a getting used to it kind of thing, it's like, I don't really like the instant kill thing. The what
got like a quick time thing.
Yeah, I mean, it has a quick time, but it's
nearly impossible.
Yeah, it's weirdly designed so that, like, okay, so the thing is, like, you have this area, you have those robots that they show in the trailer, the Emmy robots.
Yeah.
You have specific areas of the map that those robots patrol in, and then it's sort of stealth. Like, you go into this area, and then providing you don't make too much noise and the robot isn't too near you, then you can just, like, run around as normal. But if it starts getting close, it will start detecting your noise and start trying to find you. And then if it sees you, it goes into actual pursuit mode, where it just chases you down. So it's, like, sort of stealth. So the idea is to just get through those zones and get to, like, the other side or whatever door you need to get through. But then if it catches you, there's, like, a quick time event where you can, like, last-ditch escape. And you have, like, two windows of opportunity to press the melee button to counter it and then break out. but the timing window on that is like incredibly tiny, which is weird because the timing window for like the regular melee counter that you have when you're fighting regular enemies is extremely generous.
Right.
Like you just vaguely wave your arm in the vicinity of an enemy doing an attack and it just counters it through practically the entire animation of your melee. Whereas like in this one specific sequence, it's an incredibly minuscule window that's almost impossible to hit. And then you just die and it just game overs and then you just reload. And it's just like, that seems kind of unnecessary to just have it completely insta-kill you in this sequence and then just have to reload the game.
I mean, are they I assume it's like a standard Metroid, like reload from a save point kind of
No,
thing.
I think it reloads at like the door to the room.
Oh, that's
the door to the area.
Okay, that's way more reasonable.
Mainly
I thought it was going to pull a classic on us.
Well, I mean, that would have been fine too if they just arranged the save points.
Yeah, so they were like around every door. Basically. So when you came across a save point, you knew it's like, bugger, there's going to be a stealth room here.
But yeah, it's like I don't know about that weird like insta kill thing, or make the timing windows slightly more lenient than they are. And also, it's very abrupt.
Do you think it could have got away with just being like, it does a smeg ton of damage?
Yeah, or that.
Yeah.
Like it drains an entire energy tank or something.
Or a percentage of your health, say.
Yeah, maybe.
So you can only really... So it's the same dread for each encounter, I guess.
Yeah. But it's very abrupt, is the other weird thing about it. Like, you die, then it's just like, the sequence takes about 2 seconds, you have these 2 tiny windows of opportunity to counter it, and if you fail, it's just like, bam, black screen, game over screen, press continue. It's just like, it's extremely abrupt.
Do you not even get to see a classic, like, Samus?
No, not really. So, yeah.
I thought that was in the game, though, the classic.
It is in there.
Well, if you die normally...
I think it was like, in like a boss
but
fight.
not from that Emmy.
But not from this sequence. And also, the other problem with this Emmy thing is, like, I'm not sure I like the way you actually kill them at the end. Like, you have... So the whole point of this stealth system thing is eventually, after you've, acquired enough other Metroid upgrades to open various different types of door and deal with environmental hazards, as always,
Standard.
you get to a specific room where there's this mysterious brain robot. Back to brains. Mysterious brain robot thing that you absorb some power from that temporarily upgrades your arm cannon so you can actually kill the enemies.
One shot.
Yeah, one shot.
Yeah.
But firstly you have to hold down the aim button, so you have to plant yourself, obviously. So you have to basically you have to run around having it chase you for a while until you find a nice long straight corridor where you can get far enough ahead of it to give you enough time to charge, to pause and line up your shot, and then charge up the shot and then shoot it. And it does like a dramatic camera angle where it like swings the camera behind you so you're looking down the corridor at it, which is kind of cool. But I find that kind of like really confusing, where it's like I'm suddenly in a completely different perspective and I'm having to angle my aim differently, and I'm having to remember that you're holding down the left button to plant your feet, then you hold down the right button to charge the shot, then you push the fire button to actually shoot the shot.
Oh, so you're not even lifting off to shoot.
No. It's like these 3 different buttons you have to remember that you are pushing in a specific order and specific timing for the charge up. And then on the second one of these Emmys, because it lets you get that far in the demo, because the first one is like heavily damaged, so it basically doesn't do anything, you just shoot it. But the second time round, when you fight an actual one, it then gives you another type of charged gun on top of that charged gun, where you have to, first of all, you have to use this other version of the charged gun that depletes its armor before it gets to you, and then you have to run away again and line up for the big shot after that. So it's like...
so you got to do it twice.
It's like quite an annoyingly complicated system. And
I mean, that was the thing that kind of I have been dreading coming across those things, because it's like, I don't know, they never, this whole concept never really appealed to me. Like, there's something about it that it just doesn't, like, okay, it's a stealth section, it's never going to appeal to me, right? But like, I don't know. I mean, there's something about it that just feels distinctly not Metroid-y. Is that just me? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think like it's weirdly not Metroid-y in 2 different ways, because it's like the stealth section in general is maybe not exactly a Metroid-y concept, although I mean, I guess in some ways normally you just shoot everything.
Yeah.
But then the other thing that's actually, these areas are really more just designed for you to run through really fast. with your slide, so you can fit through small gaps, and you're constantly jumping off,
Right.
wall jumps and stuff.
Yeah.
They're actually
So they're
specifically
quite a different-
designed to be like
Right.
you just run straight through as fast as you can.
Yeah, I've seen there's quite a lot. There's quite a good amount of like you keep your momentum during a lot of moves, right? Especially when you get the spoilers, when you get the ability to run real fast.
No, well,
it's
it's
like
like Shine Spark and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like it's weird, and then like the other thing that makes it feel slightly less Metroid-y to me is just like because there's so many buttons and like different ways to use. Because like having jump and then shoot, that's fine, but then you've got jump, shoot, and melee, and then you've got the plant your foot button, and then you've got the slide button. It's just like
maybe too many buttons.
now we're getting into like actually complicated controls instead of just jump and shoot.
Mm.
But then modern games have controls, just apparently not a right stick.
Right.
But yeah, apart from that, it's totally fine. Although I find
So do you think the demo is like just a slice of the game, or is it like custom constructed?
no, it's definitely just a slice of the game. It just starts you from the start,
Okay.
and
Right.
clearly it's about. I say it's probably. I was going to say it's probably about a sixth of the game, but it's clearly not. But there's 6 robots. You kill 1 and technically 2, but the first one doesn't count. You kill 1 of the robots by the end of the demo, and there's 6 of them, but it's clearly not a sixth of the game. You can just you do find the first map room, so it like shows you the outline of the area you're in, and you don't even cover nearly all of that in the demo.
Right. Yeah. So for you, Zach, is it enough to make you want to buy the game?
It's getting there, but I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's 50 quid's worth yet.
That's the biggest problem with it. Like there's I have a perception of value problem with it. I don't know. It's
yeah.
I mean, it could be worse than 50, right? I suppose.
I mean, it could be PlayStation 5 $70. Like
Yeah.
But they couldn't have got away with that. It's like 50 is the maximum they could possibly have gotten away with, and it's not working for us.
Yeah, it's a toughie.
And it also like weird. I don't know if it's that weird, but it at the start of the game, it does pretty much just recaps the story of Fusion.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, I guess you would do that, but like it seems a bit weird to just like only recap that specific story and not any of the other stuff.
Not the ones leading to it.
Because it's just like, oh, the Metroids are dead, and then the X-Parasite, and then Fusion happens.
Oh, does that mean we actually probably should play Fusion?
Yeah,
before
maybe. Except it appears that the story of this game is, I don't know, the amount of story you get in the intro is like, okay, so you've done the whole Fusion story where you find the X-Parasite, and the X-Parasite was designed to fight the Metroids all the other way around, and like, so they were the counter to each other, but they're all dead now, so it's totally fine. There's no X's or Metroids left in the entire universe, even though every other Metroid game has proven that every time that someone has said that, that's very clearly not the case.
Yeah.
But then you get a video transmission of an X-Parasite in the wild on this random planet, and you're like, oh shit, we've missed one, I guess, so we better go see about this. Or the Federation does, which is why they send the Emmy robots. And then it's like, oh, the Emmy robots have stopped reporting in. But because, in Fusion, because you now have Metroid DNA in you, you're invincible to the X-Parasite, I guess?
Right.
So you're like the only person that can go to this to potentially deal with this.
I see.
Which is why they sent the robots in the first place. But then it's like, but then once you start getting into this demo a little way in, and you're talking to your AI computer from Fusion as well, who is apparently really annoying and seems to still talk far too much in this game also. But like,
Listen.
you're talking to him, and like now he's implying that maybe that footage that you saw was staged just to lure you here, and like this might not have anything to do with the X-Parasite. And there's Chozo, they're hanging out, beating you up.
Because wait, what?
Well, that happens immediately. In fact, that also explains why your suit is different. Well, it doesn't really explain. It happens immediately. Basically, you have the intro sequence where you fly in your nice Samus suit,
Standard Various suit.
Yeah, standard orange and red.
Yeah.
And then you fight. You come down an elevator directly into this Chozo guy. He beats you up quite badly, and then you black out, and then you wake up in the new suit. It's like, it doesn't really explain it, but I mean, I guess that's sort of an explanation. He fucked you up somehow, but like changed your suit.
He gave you new clothes.
Well, he took all your abilities, of course, Metroid game.
Yeah. Standard.
So the Trolls are alive?
On this planet, apparently.
Ah.
So yeah, that's weird. But yeah, the weird way it sums up the story. Also, because you have Metroid DNA, you can't go to cold areas any longer.
Oh, interesting.
So now they've basically invented another way to have a new suit.
Well, surely you just get the Varia suit again,
But that's
right?
for hot.
I thought the Varia suit was just for climate in general. But...
Well, the Varia suit's always been for hot, but I don't think there hasn't been one specifically for cold, I don't think.
No, I guess
There's
not.
the gravity suit for water, obviously. But yeah, so there's just now there's also cold areas on the map, not just hot areas. But you do find hot areas. And I think the one other thing I very briefly wanted to say that I found kind of disappointing was, like, I don't think the sound design is that good on some of the things. Like, getting hit doesn't really have enough impact. Like, I don't...
Oh, right.
And, like, the pickups and stuff, the sound isn't very distinct. And also the little classic Metroid jingle when you pick up a big item or whatever. That sounds weird. Like, I don't like the weird mix they've done on that either. Also, you don't get that nearly as much. You only get that on the big items, not on the energy tanks or the missile tanks or anything.
Right.
So yeah, that's that. That's the demo of Metroid Dread. Just go play it and see for yourself.
Yeah,
because it's free.
Is it one of those where it's got like a save?
No, it has no saves at all.
Oh, right. Well, that's kind of annoying because, like,
the demo.
Yeah.
Surely you'd want to surely you'd want it to
save your progress.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not that much progress, I guess.
No, but still.
And also, once you know where you're going, you can actually run through that pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because it's not actually difficult, exactly.
I don't know. It just feels like if it's the start of the game, they probably should have thought of that.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, yep, check out the demo, and that'll be enough for you to judge Dread, I guess.
Yep. And find out whether you think it's worth 50 quid.
I am the law.
And then the other thing that I mainly played was just a bit of Satisfactory, because they've put Update 5 into the experimental branch, which means it's a bit more buggy than usual. Although usually that game is totally fine. But I've definitely had it crash a couple of times on the experimental branch, which is weird because, well, like, one time it crashed, but it didn't crash. Which I don't know what Unreal Engine is doing exactly, but like, I was like, it hitched up really hard, and I was like, oh shit, it just crashed. And then it unfroze. I was like, well, I guess it was just a hitch. But then the error reporter popped up, but the game was still running. And then when I closed the error reporter, the game just closed. It's like, okay, I guess it kind of crashed.
Yeah. It detected a serious problem, but not enough. That kind of thing could happen.
But yeah, there's been a few other times where it just has actually crashed, which, as far as I can tell from the very small amount of information that the error report puts up, is something to do with rendering the conveyor belts, which, I mean, I guess makes sense. Although I turned off, even before I was on the experimental branch for this update, in Update 4, the early access branch, there was a toggle for experimental conveyor belt rendering.
Oh, interesting.
Which I'd had on before, and it was totally fine in Update 4. But now in this Update 5 experimental version, I'm just like, well, maybe I'll turn that off and see if that stops the crashes. Maybe the experimental version is, in this experimental version, is actually worse.
Right.
But yeah, apart from that, I've been fiddling around looking at not really all of the new stuff yet, because you have to get some way into the tech and unlocks to get to the new stuff, but some of the new cosmetic things, mainly for the building and the new building systems, like the way you can clip stuff through and like the easier rapid building options and all that stuff, which definitely makes it nice to deal with. I've already
the planar building.
Yeah,
right?
just dragging buildings and foundations out in a line makes it much quicker for just building buildings, which is actually what you need in that game. Well, I mean, kind of. who builds their factory in just the grass? Build it on a platform, nice and flat, and grid aligned. But yeah, so I've been fiddling with that, but it's I think the clipping thing is definitely what I've found the most useful, because the way you can clip belts and stuff through the buildings, like I'll still not do it. Like, I'll still try not to do it. But there are some cases where I've just built a belt and been like, well, I mean, that should just work. Like, if this game had, like, extremely detailed collision detection where, like, the actual polygons of the buildings were the hit detection, then that would work. But because it's just a box, now you can just clip through that box. And it's like, well, okay, the belt doesn't actually clip through this building in any way, so that's totally fine. I'll allow it. It doesn't annoy me in any way.
I'll allow it.
Please proceed.
I'll allow it.
Unlike the thing that does annoy me, which is one of the bugs of this update, when they updated the Northern Forest's plant life, like it's completely different now. Like all the trees and stuff are completely different. They've all been redesigned. They updated all the trees and the bushes and the flowers and all the grasses and all that stuff. But they've helpfully forgotten to make most of those things targetable by the chainsaw, which means that so normally you can grab like small bushes and plants and whatnot just with your hands, and you can get leaves for biomass burning. And then the next stage up from that is you get the chainsaw for clearing like actual trees, but it can also still clear the regular foliage. And when you use the chainsaw, it actually just like area of effects stuff in front of you, so just everything in the vicinity just disappears, which is obviously helpful for cleaning up a huge amount of stuff rather than running around mashing E. But what they've done with this new foliage update is they've forgotten to make most of the new plants targetable by the chainsaw, and some of them are not targetable by the chainsaw or by hand. So if you have one of these bushes that's not targetable by either, you kind of have to be careful to not accidentally pick up all the plants that are targetable by the chainsaw near that plant, so you actually have a target to target the chainsaw in to clear it, which I didn't know, and therefore my start of my factory has quite a few of those bushes sticking up. Because I'm like, damn it, I removed all the other plants, but not this one specific plant that I can't get rid of now. I've nearly got to the point of having explosives, so I might just blow them up, I guess. Because I'm pretty sure the explosives will destroy the plants.
The nuclear option.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, it's a very like typical forgot to turn on that toggle kind of bug, where it's like, we made all these new plants, but we forgot to actually set the correct interactions on them. Although there had always been the occasional bush that just was like not targetable by the chainsaw for some bizarre reason. A lot of the things in that game is, that's the kind of early access polish that will come later, I guess, along with all the other like floating bushes and things that aren't properly aligned to the ground. There's quite a lot of those. Though I don't know if that will be like, that is one of those incredibly minor polish things that I feel like might not ever get done, where it's just like, we made the map, we put in all these plants and bushes, and then occasionally there's one that's just completely misaligned and is floating like a foot in the air, but whose job is it to go back and fix that at some point? But, it's not game breaking, apart from the ones that you can't target with the chainsaw, which it also technically isn't game breaking unless you're a crazy person who requires everything to be pristine, in which case it kind of is game breaking. But once I realised the problem, I was like, okay, I can specifically make sure I don't destroy all the other bushes. Although there have been a couple of cases where I've had one of those invincible bushes and no other plants around it that you can also target with the chainsaw. It's like, well, fine. Not anything I can do about that one. There's only a few bushes sticking up through my factory. But yeah, apart from that, it's just been looking at the new cosmetic options and the new like building alignment. There have been a couple of cases where the new building alignment stuff just freaks out. Like when I've been trying to line two buildings up next to each other, but then the hologram for the building I'm building is just going like jumping up and down between the ground and like some arbitrary place in midair above the building. And then like there's also been a couple of cases where like the lock alignment for like conveyor belts and pipes hasn't worked correctly, because like it was meant to fix it so that when you're making a pipe junction to branch a pipe into a building, it's meant to lock on to the port on the building, so you can just align it. So you just hold down control and it locks the junction of the pipe onto a line in line with that port on the building.
Mm-hmm.
That works, except not in like every rotation of the pipe for some reason. Like, it'll work if the pipe is facing diagonally downwards towards the port. It'll work if the port is horizontal, like the junction in the pipe is horizontal. But it doesn't work if the port is vertical, which is how I actually was wanting it to work.
Right.
I was just like, this is the one direction of rotation that this doesn't actually lock. In fact, for some unknown reason, it locks onto the middle of the building if it's vertical. And I'm just like, well, that's not helpful at all. So I had to go back to doing it the old way of just eyeballing it.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually rotating it so it's diagonal, locking it there, moving my mouse so my mouse is on the exact spot where that is, and then re-rotating the pipe. So I can build it in that exact spot but not have to use the actual lock, which is awkward. And hopefully that's the kind of, that was the whole point of the system. So maybe that will get fixed pretty quick.
Yeah. They're just having a little look and then be like, oh, right. Yeah, that totally doesn't work.
Because, I mean, I think the problem with that alignment system is that sometimes it doesn't look vertically enough. Like if the thing is on the exact same level, it will find it. But sometimes if like you've got a raised belt, or like I was doing with this raised pipe, and it's not really looking down at these ports where it probably just should. But maybe that would then cause weird conflicts if you had like a 2-story factory, but you were trying to run a pipe that was sort of in between the 2 floors. It's like, which building is it trying to lock onto or whatever?
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's very nice and fancy, and the new building parts definitely help. Just like, it's mainly all the parts that are just like, because previously you only had 4 meter high walls, and that was all you could build. Whereas the foundations came in like 4, 2, and 1 thickness. But now you have 4 meter high walls and 1 meter high walls. For some reason, not 2.
Oh no. Okay. Wait, chest high walls?
Yes, chest high walls.
Does this mean we're going to be like crouching behind them and blind firing over them?
Yeah, pretty much. Once you unlock the rifle. It's quite late game. Not that you never need to do that.
Gears of factories.
The enemies will not attack your factory. And in fact, only target you. And if you build anything in the facility, they just go away.
They are indifferent to industry.
Yeah.
Probably because they look at it and go, this metal's not that interesting.
I guess. Even though you're theoretically fucking this planet up real good.
Animals aren't going to know that.
It's unlike Factoria's biters where they do know that. That's all they know. Get that pollution out of here. And then just a little bit of the usual things, like Rob said, Derg and Rocket League. I played a bit more Derg on my own as well.
Oh yeah, those Halloween.
Yeah, I got through the Halloween assignments. That was a long one. But mainly, I've weirdly reached a point in that game where it's just like, I don't know where all my money and resources have gone. Well, I know where they've gone. I've been using them to make the overclocks and all that stuff. But I feel like I'm not keeping up any longer.
Oh, right.
Like I'm getting more overclock cores than I have the resources to make.
To actually use them. Interesting.
Which, I mean, I guess is sort of okay, because then it makes it a decision. You're like, which one of these do I actually want, rather than just crafting all of them. But I'm getting a bit of a backlog.
Yeah, because I guess the first few you get, you're just going to be like, well, I'm just going to make those.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight upgrades.
But also, like, I've also run out of blank cores, so the core events that we do occasionally, we've been doing anyway just for the experience.
Sure.
And I continue to always do them just for the experience, but like I don't even have blank cores to run into those any longer, because I used to have quite a few extra blanks.
What are the blanks? What do they do?
Well, when you run the core infusion events and the thing pops up at the end, and you put the blank core in there, you get like a choice of 3 different things.
So I have to own a blank core before I can do that?
Yeah. But then certain mission rewards will just give you like non-blank cores, cores that are already infused with a overclock.
With a thing, yeah.
But yeah, I've run out of those. I've run out of money as well, basically, so I can't even buy the crafting minerals that I need to do the forging either.
So do we need to go find more crystal cucumbers? Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much. More cucumbers, more spiky cucumbers. More red cucumbers.
That would be weird. Can you create a red cucumber with food dye somehow? That would be such a weird look.
You probably could, right? Because it's basically a whole bunch of water.
Yeah.
You could probably just grow a cucumber and like feed it coloured water and it would probably turn a colour, right?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Is it like other plants where like if the pH of the soil is different, they
turn a different colour?
Yeah, they could be colourised. Well, like people have come out with purple carrots, right?
Sure.
Well, maybe they can breed a red cumber somehow.
But the carrot one is a slightly different situation, though, right? Because that's like, carrot colour is a specific chemical.
Yeah.
Rather than, I assume cucumbers are mostly green still. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's not chlorophyll.
Why are they green, like in the ground? Because
it's like maybe that's not chlorophyll. Maybe they are just green. Maybe it's a camouflage thing. It's like hide the fruit.
Right, make it look like everything else. Yeah, I suppose.
Okay. Or maybe they were just a different colour and we already bred them to be green at some point in the past.
Maybe. It's fine.
Because someone liked that idea at some point in history.
Are cucumbers a fruit?
I mean,
like
probably.
Are they like in the same category as like marrows or stuff like that? They're sort of underground, or
they're not underground. They're on the ground.
Oh, on the ground. I thought cucumbers were kind of dirt laden.
No. In fact, cucumbers they're like hanging.
Yeah. Don't know if I've seen a growing cucumber.
Oh, the joys of modern living, where you don't even know how crops grow.
I mean, I must have done when I was young, because I'm sure it was one of the things my granddad used to grow.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's why that's the same reason that I know about them. My grandma used to grow cucumbers and peas and all the traditional vegetables.
Trad veg.
I think that's it.
Is that a podcast? What's Dan been playing? Has he been Breath of the Wilding some more?
Not much recently. I need to get back to it, so haven't got any new travels.
Play some Breath of the Wild while Metroid Dread is downloading.
Yeah,
turn on your Switch and multitask.
Yeah, I do need to download that demo. Well, I will play that and give you my thoughts on the demo when you've next time. I'm sort of vaguely wondering whether I'll be able to run Civ 6 on the new Mac that I'm getting, but I think it's not that good for games still, even though it's good for everything else. So I think that would still needs a PC, I reckon.
I mean, Civ seems like one of those games that would be probably more Mac happy than others, right?
You'd think so, right? Yeah.
It's not going to be pushing your graphics department that much, or at least it probably scales quite nicely, you'd think.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you? Yeah,
because it'd be core processor time for all that between turn action.
Yeah, I mean, the big AI processing on the turns probably only takes a couple of seconds on the powerful Mac, but I don't know about the graphics situation. But yeah,
is Civ 6 even M1 happy?
No, I mean no games are yet, but you can play them through the Rosetta emulator, whatever thingy. Compatibility layer thing. Yeah. But yeah, I suppose just play Into the Breach instead. That'd be alright for graphics.
I'm still
more focused.
I'm still contemplating whether my PC. I'm at the point where my PC needs to be how I organize it needs to be reevaluated.
Reconstituted.
Because my old Windows install that was Windows 7 and has been brought up to the latest Windows 10. Not Windows 11, can't do that apparently. Blue screens quite frequently now.
That's no good.
And I know it's not a hardware problem because my alternate Windows install on the exact same machine is perfectly fine.
Right.
It's just this variant of it, and I've done all the usual steps, like go through the I forget what SFC stands for, but it's like the Windows install verification stuff, and DISM, and making sure it's all sorted itself. I've uninstalled as much software as I dare from my environment, and all the stuff I don't use anymore. And it's it's better. I think SFC did make a difference, but it's still not great. So I think Windows has just got itself into a bad place. And I can't do much about it. History has caught up with it.
The ravages of time.
Yeah. I don't and as I said before, I don't really want to go away and spend what, as it turns out, would be £900 worth of upgrades currently. To then put a new SSD in it, and then put Windows 11 on it, and then. But maybe my other install needs to now be tainted with the world of music development and audio development. My games machine's not going to be so clean anymore.
You just need to wait for the other one. That's the whole point.
No, but then
but if you're going to choose between taking the clean one and wiping it, just wipe it. It's like if you're going to have a separate one, you might as well keep it separate.
But then the problem with wiping it is like I then don't have the state in case the new one goes wrong. Like if I need to go back to my music stuff because I've got projects in flux for various things.
Yeah.
It puts the fear in me.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Also, the price of wood is sky high, so the things that we're currently buying for the house quite expensive.
Furniture-wise.
Yeah, and loft boards. Loft boards are expensive right now.
It seems like that should be the cheapest wood.
You'd think, yeah. Still costs quite a bit. More than we were expecting. House grouse. Got it in there somewhere.
Get some house grouse in. You're getting a new dining table though, are you? Oh no.
I am. It will be with us Thursday.
Sweet. Exciting times.
It gets bigger.
It grows.
It
extends.
Bigger.
Does it sort of intrude into the kitchen further? Then is that the plan?
Yeah. So it'll be like
it's extended.
It should be like the best of both worlds. So it'll be like the same, a little bit bigger than the one we've currently got regular time. So it fits that space nicely when it's just being a table, everyday table, and then for guest based craziness or large D&D game craziness.
Yeah, the full experience.
It can gain quite a bit.
Expand.
Bigger.
Expand a band.
We can have
dining table.
We can fit more food on it. That's probably the problem.
Well, assuming it's not covered in other stuff. Or cat.
Or cats, yes. I suppose I spoke about the cat. The cat is still playing a game of the floor is lava.
Yeah.
It doesn't. That's pretty much what we've come up with. It just doesn't like to be on the floor currently
in this house.
Right. Well, I think it's because we kind of messed her up by having like 2 weekends in a row where dogs were present.
Okay.
And a Roomba.
The Roomba I think is less of a the Robo-Vac I think is less of a problem. She's sort of indifferent to that. She'll be eating her food and it will just be nudging her legs and she'll be like, yeah, whatever, mate.
Food takes precedent.
Absolutely. But no, we'll lift her into other rooms, and she'll immediately go jump on a table in that room. Like she just doesn't want to be on the floor. So we've started like moving her food bowl to awkward places in the morning to be like, you need to come over here if you want food, which she will eventually come and do, and then run away. She's a pansy. I don't know. I know dog smell is pretty prevalent, but she's a pansy.
What a pansy. Right, well, with the pansy cat.
Either that or she's just finally embraced her gamer spirit, like with just this endless floor is lava game.
yeah, it wants to be involved in any D&D going on by getting away from the floor and onto the extended table where we're playing.
I hadn't thought about what would
be.
happen next time we actually needed to use the table since she's been like this.
Well, we'll find out.
She'll probably just sit on the little butcher's block in the corner of the kitchen instead. Cats are silly. Getting a lot more meows out of her though, so that's always nice.
Meow meow. Yeah, that is good.
I'm trying to now think of it. Is there a phrase I can come with like house grouse for like cats, like feline decline?
Like, feline decline. Oh no, that's sad. Well, with that house grouse and feline decline, I think we may have reached the end of this podcast.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us for all the talk about games and then the return to Rantel at the end. We'll be we've got some videos up, haven't we, on the YouTube? So if you check out the Happy Salad YouTube channel, you will find the start of our Ocarina of Time playthrough. Oh yes, and plenty of other gameplay besides. And then we will be back in a couple of weeks for another Saladcast. So we'll join you then.
We will.
We will.
Oh.
Goodbye.